Hello, everyone. Welcome back. If you are looking for easy English listening practice, well, you are in the right place.
Yeah, we are so glad to have you with us today for another deep dive.
So I want you to picture a very specific but completely ordinary moment. You're just standing at your bathroom sink, brushing your teeth,
Right.
or maybe you're sitting in your car staring at a red traffic light, just waiting for it to change. Your mind is essentially blank,
Mm-hmm.
and then suddenly a single sentence from a conversation you had 3 years ago just drops into your head out of nowhere.
Oh, it can be so jarring when that happens. I mean, the memory is just so vivid. You hear the exact tone of voice they used.
Yeah.
You feel the exact same flash of embarrassment or joy. So the actual talking might have stopped years ago, but clearly the conversation didn't really end. Our minds just continue working on them.
Right, exactly. You paid for your coffee, you left the cafe, and life went on. But the words are still bouncing around in your mind.
Yeah, they really are.
And what is so interesting about this phenomenon to me is when it usually happens. Because a memory from 3 years ago rarely interrupts you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you're busy answering emails.
No, definitely not. It almost always happens when the world finally gets quiet. When the daily noise stops, the notifications pause, and all those external distractions fade away.
Mm.
We actually often refer to this as the midnight replay.
The midnight replay, I mean, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
During the day, our brains are just working overtime to process new information. Traffic, tasks, people talking to us.
Right, it's just a constant stream.
But at night, without all that sensory input blocking the way, these vivid details from the past can just come flooding back. But honestly, it feels like a glitch sometimes.
Right, a glitch.
Yeah, like the brain is just misfiring. It's like a computer just opening random old files in the middle of the night for absolutely no reason.
Well, it definitely feels random, I'll give you that. But there is actually a very strict logic to it. It really comes down to how the brain categorizes our experiences.
Okay, how so?
So, if we think of the mind as a giant filing system, it doesn't file your memories chronologically by date. It actually files them by their chemical signature.
Wait, a chemical signature, you mean like this specific physical emotion we were feeling at the time?
Exactly. Every emotion creates a specific cocktail of hormones in your body. So let's say you have a frustrating interaction with a coworker today.
Right.
You feel slightly misunderstood, maybe a little defensive. Your brain gets a very specific dose of stress hormones like cortisol.
Okay, my fault.
Later, when you're lying in bed, your brain recognizes that chemical state. It essentially uses that feeling as a search query. It scans its archives for every other memory covered in that exact same chemical cocktail.
Oh, wow. So the memories are linked by the chemical emotion, not the timeline.
Yes, exactly. Your brain says, oh, we are feeling misunderstood today. Well, here are 5 other times we felt this exact same way.
Oh my gosh.
And suddenly you start to play something over in your head from a high school classroom, or maybe an argument with a friend from a decade ago.
That perfectly explains why you can transition from stressing about a Tuesday morning meeting to just agonizing over something incredibly awkward you said when you were 15 years old.
Yeah, the chemical bridge just connects them.
And I'm guessing the emotion that creates the strongest chemical signature for these late night sessions is regret. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
feeling that keeps most of humanity awake at 2 a.m., right?
Absolutely. Regret is a huge one. It's universally frustrating.
It really is. It is that uniquely awful feeling of leaving a party, getting into your car to drive home, and suddenly the absolute perfect witty response arrives in your head an hour too late.
Oh, I hate that.
It's the worst. You find yourself having second thoughts about every single word you chose, just wishing you could hit rewind.
But there's a fascinating neurological reason why the perfect response is always late.
Wait, really?
Yeah. In the actual moment of a stressful conversation or an argument, your brain experiences a mild fight or flight response.
Yeah.
Adrenaline spikes. When that happens, blood literally rushes away from your prefrontal cortex, and that is the logical, clever language processing part of your brain.
Right.
The blood moves toward the emotional survival centers instead.
So in the moment of conflict, the witty part of my brain is literally shut down for maintenance.
Exactly. The system is offline. But an hour later, when you are safely sitting in your car or lying in bed, the adrenaline drops.
And the prefrontal cortex comes back online.
Boom. Your brain easily supplies the brilliant joke or the perfect counter-argument.
Well, that makes me feel a little better about freezing up during arguments.
Yeah, it's just biology.
But even so, it feels so useless to dwell on something when the moment has already passed. replaying the negative parts on a loop, editing the script in our heads,
Right.
imagining a version of myself who is calmer or smarter. I mean, since we absolutely cannot change the past, aren't we just torturing ourselves?
It definitely feels like torture, but evolutionary psychologists actually view this mental editing as a crucial survival mechanism.
Really? How is that survival?
Well, humans are incredibly social creatures. Historically, being rejected from your social group meant you wouldn't survive in the wild.
Oh, wow, okay.
So your brain treats a social mistake as a literal threat to your life.
So by running these simulations and figuring out the perfect response now, even if it's too late for the party, my brain is actually updating my social software for the future.
Precisely. You are storing that updated script so that the next time you face a similar social threat, you perform better. You are basically rehearsing for the future by aggressively editing the past.
Okay, that makes the midnight replay feel much more productive.
Right.
But I feel like this brings up a huge complication with modern life.
Yeah.
Our brains evolved to quietly edit these fuzzy, subjective memories in our heads.
Yeah.
But today, so many of our conversations leave a permanent digital footprint. We can't edit them because the proof is sitting right in our pockets.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
The digital landscape completely disrupts this natural psychological process. Think about our text messages, emails, voice notes.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Historically, all you had was your memory of an argument, which your brain could slowly soften over time. But now, you have the exact, unchangeable record. You can pull up the conversation from 3 years ago and read it word for word.
And logically, having the exact record seems like it should solve the problem. Like, if I'm confused about an interaction, I can just reread the text and get closure.
But it doesn't work that way, does it?
Not at all. Rereading a tense text exchange almost never gives you closure. It usually just leaves you with this awful, unfinished feeling.
And that's because a text message strips away almost all the context that human beings rely on to understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
You lose the prosody, that's the music of the language. You lose the tone of voice, the facial expressions, the pauses, the body language.
So a message that felt perfectly fine and casual yesterday can suddenly look completely hostile today.
Exactly.
Someone replies to a long paragraph with the word okay and a period at the end, and suddenly you feel like the relationship is over.
Yes, the period becomes a weapon. Ambiguity breeds anxiety. And when we feel anxious, we start reading into the message. We search for hidden meanings that probably don't even exist.
It's so true. When you start reading into old messages, it reminds me of looking at a completely normal photograph, but using a very strong magnifying glass.
Oh, the magnifying glass is a perfect analogy, because a magnifying glass doesn't just show you more detail. It actively distorts the image if you look too closely.
Exactly. If you look at a photograph normally, it's just a nice picture of a tree or a person. But if you take a magnifying glass and zoom in as far as you can, you stop seeing the picture.
Right.
You just start seeing weird shadows, blurry pixels, and tiny flaws in the paper.
Yeah.
You basically invent problems.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
With a text message, you zoom in so far that you lose the actual conversation. You just sit there agonizing over why they used a specific emoji or why it took them 22 minutes to reply instead of 5.
We get trapped in the pixels and lose the picture. Technology allows us to revisit the exact words instantly, but ironically, it makes the interaction feel less resolved than a faded memory from childhood.
But I do want to look at the other side of this. Because the conversations that continue in our minds aren't just arguments and digital anxiety.
No, definitely not.
Sometimes we hold on to things that have no conflict at all. Small, positive moments.
Yeah, some of the most powerful mental replays are incredibly brief, positive interactions. A surprisingly small comment can remain perfectly preserved in your mind for decades.
I think everyone has an example of this. It's a passing comment from a high school teacher or a piece of unexpected advice from a friend. For me, I remember a compliment I received from a total stranger at a bus stop maybe 10 years ago. That one comment just stuck with me.
Wow, 10 years ago.
Yeah, I can remember the exact wording, the weather that day, everything, but I couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast on Tuesday.
It really highlights how the brain prioritizes meaning over mere facts. We forget our meals because they don't change our sense of self.
Right.
But a random compliment might arrive at the exact moment you were questioning your worth or your path in life. The brain flags that interaction as structurally important to your identity.
So it gets saved in a completely different mental folder.
It does. And what is truly profound about these long-term memories is that We don't just pull them out of a mental drawer and watch them like a static video recording.
Okay. How does it work then?
Well, in neuroscience, there's a concept called memory reconsolidation. Basically, every single time you remember an event, you are actively rebuilding it.
Wait, so memory isn't a video file. It's more like a text document that I open, edit, and then resave every time I think about it.
That is a brilliant way to describe it. The memory itself evolves chemically because the person remembering it is evolving.
Oh, wow.
The original words spoken 10 years ago stay exactly the same, but the listener has changed entirely.
That makes so much sense. Think about a teenager receiving life advice from a parent. At 16, they hear the words, but they completely ignore them.
Yep.
The words bounce right off because they don't fit into the teenager's worldview yet.
But then 12 years later, that same person is 28 years old. They remember the exact same words from their parent, and suddenly the advice makes perfect sense.
Wow.
The conversation itself hasn't changed, but the listener has gained enough life experience to finally decode the message.
That is deeply thought-provoking. The idea that a conversation can literally pause for a decade and then finish itself when you're finally ready to hear it, it creates entirely new interpretations as you age.
It does, and it highlights a fascinating disconnect between the speaker and the listener.
Oh, the disconnect is wild to think about.
Yeah.
That stranger at the bus stop who gave me that compliment, they probably forgot it 5 minutes after they walked away.
Oh, almost certainly.
They dropped this tiny seed of a conversation and just went about their day. But in my mind, that seed grew into a massive tree that I still sit under 10 years later.
It's a beautiful thought. We really have no idea how much weight our casual words carry for other people. Every interaction has the potential to become a permanent fixture in someone else's mental landscape.
And speaking of landscapes, these heavy, profound memories aren't just floating around in a void in our heads, are they? They're usually heavily tied to the physical world around us.
Yes, physical environments act as massive triggers. Psychologists call this context-dependent memory.
Context-dependent memory, okay.
We essentially outsource part of our memory storage to the physical spaces around us. A familiar street corner, the smell of a certain airport terminal, or even just the specific angle of light hitting a window seat in a coffee shop.
It's such a surreal experience. You walk into a room and instantly, without even trying, you remember a conversation you had in that exact spot 5 years earlier. The past just briefly overlaps with the present because the background noise is the same. The environment just hands you the file.
The physical space provides the context key to unlock it, but revisiting past spaces and past conversations is only half of the story.
What's the other half?
Well, perhaps the most energy-consuming type of mental replay involves conversations that haven't actually happened yet.
Oh, you mean rehearsing for the future. I am definitely guilty of this.
We all are. We spend a staggering amount of time rehearsing discussions that don't exist yet. We imagine future arguments, we prepare explanations, we mentally practice asking for a raise at work.
Oh, I will be taking a shower on a Tuesday, having a full, passionate, defensive debate with my boss in my head, preparing for a meeting that isn't happening until next Thursday.
Yep.
I've had the conversation 10 different ways before I even walk into the office.
And when you finally walk into the office and the real discussion begins, how often does it actually match the version you rehearsed in the shower?
Oh, never. It is almost always completely different. Usually, it's much easier and less dramatic than I expected.
Okay.
All of that mental preparation, all of that stress turns out to be entirely unnecessary, which really makes me wonder, why do we do it? If the mental simulation is always wrong, why do we waste so much emotional energy rehearsing?
It circles back to that idea of social survival and emotional protection. Even if the details of the simulation are wrong, the rehearsal process proves that human beings deeply understand the stakes. We know that words have real, permanent consequences.
Right. A 5-minute job interview, a quick apology, a difficult breakup. These are brief moments where just a few sentences can permanently change the trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
The stakes are massive.
Exactly. The mind is simply trying to build an emotional shock absorber. It's trying to prepare you for uncertainty so that you don't make a life-altering mistake.
That makes a lot of sense.
Whether we are editing a mistake from the past or rehearsing a scary event in the future, our brains are just desperately trying to help us navigate the complexity of the social world.
So it's really just our brain trying to look out for us.
Yeah, pretty much.
And as we wrap up our deep dive today, I think it's important to remember that not all of this mental echoing is stressful or based on survival. A lot of the time, we replay conversations simply for the comfort of it.
That's a lovely point to end on. We don't only replay arguments. We replay our favorite conversations just because we enjoyed them.
Just like you might play a favorite song on repeat because the melody makes you feel good. You replay certain conversations because of how they make you feel.
Yeah.
A really deep, vulnerable chat with a good friend late at night. Or a ridiculous, funny exchange you had during a long road trip.
Or a quiet, loving conversation with a grandparent from years ago. The words become familiar, the positive emotions return.
Exactly.
These memories become personal landmarks in our lives. We return to them when we need to feel connected or when we just need a sense of belonging.
Most of what we say every day just disappears into the air. We completely forget the small talk at the grocery store or the chat in the elevator. But the few conversations that remain, the ones that made us think or made us laugh or simply made us feel understood, they just keep living quietly in the background of our minds.
They really do. And it changes how you view your daily interactions. You never know which 5-minute chat is going to become a permanent, comforting memory for someone else.
I love that. And for you listening, I wonder what conversation you are saving for later. Well, thanks for spending time with us today. Hopefully this conversation gave you something interesting to think about.
Keep listening, keep learning, and we will see you again soon.
Goodbye, everyone.